Genesis chapter 11. Let's start at verse 1. And all the earth had one language and one speech. And it came to be as they set out from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. So they decided to come and get together to build a tower up to the heavens and make a name for themselves because they didn't want to be scattered. So they were working together, but it wasn't for the purpose of Yah. It wasn't for the plan of Yah. They were working together, going up to the heavens for their own purpose. So we're looking to Yah for his purpose, but they were going for their own purpose to try to reach up to the heavens. So verse 5 says, Then Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuwah said, Look, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. So he came down and saw that they're fulfilling what they had set in their heart to do, and said that nothing's going to be held back from them. So he said in verse 7, Come, let us go there and confuse their language, so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahuwah scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. This is why its name is called Babel, or Babylon. Babel, because Yahuwah confused the language of all the earth. And from there, Yahuwah scattered them over the face of the earth. So they were one people with one purpose, and their purpose was not Yah's purpose. So Yah confused their language so that they could be in a state of confusion. They called that place Babylon because it was confusion. So he scattered them over all the earth because now they couldn't understand each other. They couldn't be one again. So Yah scattered them by their language, and then they scattered based on location so that they couldn't fulfill what they were trying to do, which wasn't Yah's will. Let's turn over to Acts chapter 1. Acts chapter 1. Start at verse number 4. In meeting with them, start at verse 1. The first account I made, O Theophilus, of all that Yahushua began both to do and to teach, until the day when he was taken up, after giving instructions through the set-apart spirit to the emissaries whom he had chosen, to whom he had also presented himself alive after his suffering by many infallible proofs, being seen by them for 40 days, speaking concerning the kingdom of Elohim. In meeting with them, he commanded them not to leave Jerusalem, but to wait for the promise of the Father, which you have heard from me. Because Yohanan truly immersed in water, but you shall be immersed in the set-apart spirit not many days from now. So when they had come together, they asked him, saying, Master, would you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? And he said to them, It is not for you to know the times or seasons which the Father has put in his own authority. But you shall receive power when the set-apart spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses in Jerusalem, and in all Yehuda, and Shamaron, and to the end of the earth. So he's saying, so Yahushua has just gone up, and he's saying that he appears to them for 40 days, and now they're asking, is the kingdom going to be restored? He said, it's not for you to know that now, but the Spirit is coming. And when you receive this, when the Spirit comes, you're going to receive power. And it says that you're going to be witnesses to me in Jerusalem, Yehuda, Shemaron, and to the end of the earth. So it's going to start right here, but you're going to be witness. So the Spirit is coming. The Spirit comes to give us power. The Spirit comes to give us power to be witnesses of Him. Verse 9, and having said this, while they were looking on, he was taken up, and a cloud hid him from their sight. And as they were gazing into the heavens as he went up, see, 2 men stood by them dressed in white, who also said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up to the heaven? This same Yahusha who was taken up from you into the heaven shall come in the same way as you saw him go into the heaven. Then they went back to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day journey. And when they came in, they went up into the upper room where they were staying. Both Kepha, Yaakov, Yohanan, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, Yaakov, the son of Alphaeus, Shimeon, the zealot, Yehuda, the son of Yaakov. All these were continual with one mind in prayer and supplication with the women and Miriam, the mother of Yahusha, and with his brothers. So they were all in one room. Yahusha told them to wait and not to leave until the promise from the Father comes upon them. So they said they were together in one place of one mind. Let's turn over to chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 1. It says, And when the day of the feast of Shavuot had come, they were all of one mind and in one place. Mm-hmm. And suddenly there came a sound from the heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared to them divided tongues as of fire, and settled on each one of them. Mm-hmm. And they were filled with the set-apart Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them to speak. Now in Jerusalem there were dwelling Yehudim, dedicated men from every nation under the heaven. And when this sound came to be, the crowd came together and were confused because everyone heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to each other, Look, are not all these who speak Galileans? And how do we hear each one in our own language, in which we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites and those dwelling in Aram, Naharim, both Yehuda, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia, both Phrygia and Pamphylia, Mizraim, and the parts of Libya around Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Yehudim and converts. So there were people, because it was the feast, there were Yehudim, there were Hebrews, there were those of Israel that were scattered in all these different nations that I just named. They were scattered there, but they came together for the feast. So they spoke whatever language of whatever place they were coming from. They were in Mizraim, Libya, whatever place they were, those are the languages that they spoke. They were Yehudim, but they spoke those languages. So they came together all in one place, and they're like, why do we hear these people are Galileans, so they should be speaking Hebrew or Aramaic or maybe Greek, in this place here, but we're hearing them speak in our own language. And he said both the Yehudim and the converts. So some of them were Yehudim, some of them were converts. Verse 11, Cretans and Arabs, we hear them speaking in our own tongues the great deeds of Elohim. So they were speaking, so they heard them speaking the mighty works, speaking the deeds of the Most High Yah, but they heard them in their own language. It says that they were all amazed and were puzzled, saying to each other, what does this mean? So we see on Shavuot, so we started off reading the Tower of Babel, and they were together. The people were together, and they were one language, and they had one mind, they had one purpose, but they were opposite of what the Most High Yah was doing. He scattered them. So in this happening here, Yah is, in a sense, reversing, doing the opposite of what he did at the Tower of Babel. He put it so that he unconfused the language so that they can hear and understand, because these people were together speaking the deeds of the Most High Yah. So these people were coming together for the purpose of Yah, in the time and place and plan of Yah, to speak forth the words of Yah. So Yah did the opposite. He unconfused it so that they can hear each other and understand. Verse 13, and others mockingly said they had been filled with sweet wine. But Kepha, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said to them, Men of Yehuda, and all those dwelling in Jerusalem, let this be known to you, and listen closely to my words. For these men are not drunk, as you imagine, since it is only the 3rd hour of the day. But this is what was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall be in the last days, says Elohim, that I shall pour out of my spirit on all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And also on my male servant and my female servant I shall pour out my spirit in those days, and they shall prophesy, and I shall show wonders in the heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire, and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the coming of the great and splendid day of Yahuwah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. So he's letting them know that this ties to the book of Joel. And he said, in these days, this time is going to come. I'm going to pour out my spirit on all flesh, male, female. I'm going to pour out my spirit, and they're going to prophesy. And that's what these men were doing. They were prophesying. They were speaking forth the words and the deeds and the works of the Most High Yah. So this is being fulfilled here on Shavuot. So this is when Yahusha is fulfilling Shavuot by sending the Ruach, sending the Spirit. So that, what's the purpose here? To have power to be witnesses. So they're doing this, they're being a witness. They're speaking forth and they're being a witness of the Most High Yah. They're speaking forth His works. They're speaking forth His deeds. And they're being witnesses. And these people came from all kinds of places. And so they're going to take this back with them to the places that they've gone. So he said that you're going to be witnesses to me in Judea, Shavuot, and to the ends of the earth. So they're taking this. So this is the beginning of this process that's going on of being witnesses, being filled with this power, so that you can be witnesses and take this to the ends of the earth.
Amen.
Let's go to verse. Let's continue. Verse 22. Men of Israel, hear these words. Yahusha of Nazareth, a man from Elohim, having been pointed out to you by mighty works and wonders and signs, which Elohim did through him in your midst, as you yourselves also know. This one, given up by the set purpose and foreknowledge of Elohim, you have impaled and put to death through the hands of lawless men. Him Elohim raised up, having loosed the pains of death, because it was impossible that he could be held in his grip. For the weed said concerning him, I saw Yahuwah before me continually, because he is at my right hand, in order that I should not be shaken. For this reason my heart rejoiced and my tongue was glad, and now my flesh shall also rest in expectation. Because you shall not leave my being in Sheol, nor shall you give your lovely committed one to see corruption. You have made known to me the ways of life. You shall fill me with joy in your presence. Men and brothers, let me speak boldly to you of the ancestor David, that he died and was buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. So he's saying that David said this, but this is obviously not speaking of David, because David is in the grave. We know where he is. It says, being a prophet then, and knowing that Elohim had sworn with an oath to him of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, to raise up the Messiah to sit on his throne. Foreseeing this, he spoke concerning the resurrection of the Messiah, that his being was neither left in Sheol, nor did his flesh see corruption. Elohim has raised up this Yahusha, of which we are all witnesses. Therefore, having been exalted to the right hand of Elohim, and having received from the Father the promise of the set-apart Spirit, he poured out this which you now see and hear. For the weed did not ascend into the heavens, but he himself said, Yahuwah said to my master, sit at my right hand, until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. Therefore let all the house of Yisrael know for certain that Yah has made this Yahusha, whom you impaled, both master and Messiah. And having heard this, they were pierced to the heart, and said to Kepha and the rest of the emissaries, Men, brothers, what shall we do? And Kepha said to them, Repent, and let each one of you be immersed in the name of Yahushua Messiah for the forgiveness of sins. You shall receive the gift of the set-apart Spirit. For the promise is to you and to your children, and to all who are far off, as many as Yahuwah our Elohim shall call. So this gift is for you, is for your children, is for those to the ends of the earth that Yah is going to call. And with many other words, he earnestly witnessed and urged them, saying, Be saved from this crooked generation. Be saved from this crooked generation. I'm going to read, when I return to it, you can write it down if you want to, Jeremiah 51, verse 6. He said, Be saved from this wicked generation. In Jeremiah 51, verse 6, it says, Flee from the midst of Babylon, and let each one save his life. Do not be cut off in her crookedness, for this is the time of the vengeance of Yahuwah, the recompense he is repaying her. Babylon has a golden was a golden cup in the hand of Yahuwah, making drunk all the earth. The nations drank her wine, that is why the nations went mad. Babylon shall suddenly fall and be broken. How for her take long for her pain, if so be she might be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Let us leave her and each go to his own land, for her judgment reaches to the heavens and is lifted up to the clouds. So he's talking about Babylon. He's saying is to flee Babylon. And in here, it reference back to this, and he's telling them to flee, be saved from this crooked generation. So he's tying this back together again, back to Babylon, being saved from this confusion and this mixture that's going on. So back in Acts verse 41, it says, "Then those indeed who gladly received his word were immersed, and on that day about 3,000 beings were added to them." 3,000 beings were added to them that day. 3,000 were added to them that day.
Wow, praise God.
So they received the word. So y'all send his ruach with power to fall on those who were with one mind, who had already were following him, who had one mind and one spirit, were in one place being obedient to Yah, waiting for the feast to come. They were in one place, and Yah sent his ruach on them in power. And they began to prophesy and speak the words of Yah and in the languages of the people who were scattered, Israel that was scattered, that were there keeping the feast. And they began to hear this word being prophesied. In their wonderment, Peter stands up and starts to give them an understanding of what this means. This is what y'all prophesied. I'm going to pour out my spirit on you, and you're going to prophesy. You're going to speak forth the words. And this is a sign of the coming of the end of times.
Yeah.
So he's giving them this understanding.
Yeah.
And he lets them know that this Yahushua that you crucified, who he really was. He's the master. He's Messiah.
Yeah.
So he's making this clear to them that as it's made clear to them, they're pierced at the heart. They're convicted. They're like, man, what do we do now? And he's telling them, okay, repent and be immersed. And then be immersed and repent in the name of Messiah for the forgiveness of your sins. And you also will receive this gift. You'll receive this ruach, this power, to be witnesses of him, to continue to bring this out. So it says once this truth came out, and he told them, he urged them earnestly, it said, in being a witness, he urged them to be saved from this crooked generation. Be saved from this Babylon, this confusion, this thing that's going on. The thing that was birthed back in this Tower of Babel, this confusion of religion, of the earth, of all the things this cup is full of. Repent and turn from that. So he urged them in this and said, after this went forth, it says they gladly received it, they were immersed, and 3,000 beings were added to the body in that day. From these things going forth, them being filled with the Ruach and witnesses and power, God's moved, and 3,000 of them were added that day. And it says in verse 42, and they were continuing steadfast in the teaching of the emissaries, and in the fellowship, and in the breaking of bread, and in prayers. They continued in these things. They continued to be of one mind. And fear came upon every being, and many wonders and signs were being done through the emissaries. In this atmosphere, many wonders and signs were being done through the emissaries, and all those who believed were together and had all in common. And sold their possessions and property, and divided them among all as anyone might have need. And day by day continuing with one mind in the set apart place, and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising Yah and having favor with all the people. The master added to the assembly those who were being saved day by day. In this atmosphere, Yah continued to add to them day by day. When this was going on, this power, this witnessing, this walking in the love that Yahushua had gave witness of, because they've been witnesses of him. They walked with him. They walked with him. They were witness of him. They were witness of this ruach, this spirit that came upon them. In this atmosphere, people were being added to them and saved day by day. It was growth.
Wow.
Yeah, that atmosphere. That's the difference.
All right, let's turn to the book of Matthew. The book of Matthew, chapter 9. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 4 first. Matthew chapter 4. Verse 17. This is after Yahusha went in the wilderness for 40 days and was tested and came out of that testing. So in verse 17 it says, from that time Yahusha began to proclaim and say, repent, for the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near. And Yahusha, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brothers, Shimon called Kepha, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, and they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I shall make you fishers of men. And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going on from there, he saw two other brothers, Yaakov the son of Zabdi, and Yohanan his brother, in the boat with Zabdi, their father, mending their nets. And he called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. And Yahushua went about in Galilee, teaching in their congregations and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every bodily weakness among the people.
Miracle signs.
And news about him went out into all Syria, and they brought to him all who were sick, afflicted with various diseases and pains, and those who were demon-possessed, and epileptics and paralytics, and he healed them. And large crowds from Galilee and Decapolis and Jerusalem and Yehuda and beyond the Jordan followed him. So he saw these men. He saw these men, and they were out fishing. They're casting their nets. They're trying to catch some fish. They're putting their nets out. They're in the boats trying to get fish. He says, I'm going to make you fishers of men.
Amen.
I'm going to make you fishers of men. You're trying to catch fish to eat, but I'm going to make you fishers of men. I'm going to teach you. So this is the beginning of their walk with Yahushua. So as they're walking with Yahushua, his goal, he started off to say, I'm going to teach you how to be fishers of men. So he walks with them. So as he's walking on the earth, he's walking with them, he's teaching them, they're walking with him, and they're seeing things from his perspective, they're seeing how he handles people. And through this whole process, before they were filled with the Ruach, because these are the same people that were later on filled with this Ruach and power, that's going to be witnesses to the ends of the earth. Before that happened, he saw them fishing and said, I'm going to make you fishers of men. So his intention from the beginning, I'm going to teach you how to throw your net out and bring back men. Because the Father is throwing his net out to draw back the men in. So he's teaching them to be fishers of men. So he's teaching us to be fishers of men. Because we're still a part of this. We come out of this. Out of their witness is how we know this truth and how we've come into this truth. So he's teaching us how to cast a net and draw back the men of Yah. Men and the women of Yah, to draw back to Yah. So he's teaching us how to cast our nets. Because we have the same, this ruach, we have this power. We're being witnesses. We are supposed to be of one mind and of one purpose. So he's teaching us. So where men were scattered, being scattered is always a result of, it's always a punishment. It's usually a punishment when you're scattered because you're not doing what Yahweh intends to be scattered. But then now Yah is in a regathering for his remnant, for his people. He's casting nets and regathering.
Yes, he is.
So we're a part of this regathering. We're the ones who are casting the nets. He's been taken up. He left this ruach for us to cast with power as witnesses to cast the nets. So fish are swimming usually in water that's alive. Right? There's a place that I go to, and in this place and I've spoken this before, and y'all been speaking to me again. This place I go to, there's 3 different bodies of water there. There's 3 different bodies of water. There's the water that's right connected to the ocean. And I look out at that water, and the water's moving. You know that there's water, there's currents underneath of it. You know, the current comes in, and as the current moves the water, it it causes the nutrients to come through to be able to feed the fish that are in the water. So as the water is coming from the larger bodies of water, it's coming in, and the fish that are in the water are able to get nutrients, and you see the continual movement. There's an inflow, there's an outflow. And then there's another body of water there. There's a body of water there that's more enclosed. So when I see that body of water, it's moving. The water's moving, but it's not moving like the other water's moving. You can see that it's closed in, but it's not moving the same way. But you see some movement in it. Then there's a third body of water there, and it's usually it's dead. It's closed in. The water is dark. You can see the whatever the stuff is, the moss, whatever that's up, coming up in the water. You see stuff that's resting on the waters, and it's dead because there's no outlet, there's no inlet. It's just dead. The water's not moving, so it's becoming stagnant. So it's stagnant water. But when the wind is blowing, the stagnant water moves a little bit. You see a little on the surface of the water, a little bit, just because the wind is blowing. Yeah. And the other body of water that's a little bit more open. There's some fish in that water, so it's a little bit of movement, but it's not connected to the large body of water. So when the wind blows, you see it moving a little bit. Yeah. But the large body of water is connected to the ocean, and is constantly ingoing and outgoing. You see that it's constantly being fed. It's constant waves, it's constant movement, it's life that's going there. So as we cast the net, if we cast the net in stagnant waters, you're not going to get anything back. You cast the net in the waters that are moving, you're going to constantly get life back because there's life coming in and out of it. Yeah. So we as individuals, as a body, we become stagnant waters if there's no outlet, no inlet. If there's nothing coming in and nothing going out, there's no revelation coming in, no revelation going out. If there's no people coming in, no people going out, casting nets, then you become stagnant waters. So we'll be stagnant waters if there's no outlet and no inlet. But the wind will blow, the Spirit will come, the wind will blow, and it'll be movement. But when the wind stops blowing, you set it back down, and it's the same waters. It has to be an inlet and outlet. There has to be something coming in to feed the fish that's there. There has to be something going out to cast the net to the fish that's out. It has to be for life to continue to flow. It has to be for life to continue to flow. He said, be fishers of men. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 9, a couple chapters over. When he spoke to Caleb when he came back, you remember at the end of book of John, he told him 3 times, he said, do you love me? Yeah. He said, yes, I love you. You know I love you. He said, feed my lambs. He said, do you love me? Shepherd my sheep. And he said, do you love me? He said, you know I love you. Feed my sheep. That's what he left Caleb with. If you love me, feed my sheep. In Matthew chapter 9. Verse 35. And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their congregations and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every bodily weakness among the people. And having seen the crowds, he was moved with compassion for them. Yeah. Having seen the crowds, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were weary and scattered, as sheep having no shepherd. So when he looked out and saw the crowds, and saw the people that were poor, that were sick, that were lost, that were just out there looking, he saw them, he was moved with compassion for them, because he saw that they were weary, they were scattered as sheep and having no shepherd. There was no one to bring them in. There was no one to direct them and bring them in and to feed them and to feed them. So he said, verse 37, then he said to his taught ones, the harvest truly is great, but the workers are few. Pray then that the master of the harvest will send out workers to his harvest. He said the harvest is truly great, but the workers are few. Pray then that the master of the harvest will send out workers to his harvest. So we've been talking about Shavuot. We've been talking about how this is the Feast of Weeks, and it's about a harvest coming in. And we talked about that when Yah comes, Yah's looking for a fruit. He's looking for us to bear fruit. He's looking for fruit when he comes to see us. He's looking for us to present to him the fruit, which is the harvest of the work that he's doing inside of us.
Yeah.
But then he's also looking for another harvest. He's looking out, he's saying that the harvest of souls that Yah is bringing in is great. It's a great harvest. Because when he's coming back for an end time harvest. There's a great harvest out there. He says the harvest is plentiful, but the workers to work the harvest, if you have a great harvest, if you have a whole bunch of wheat or corn or whatever the case may be, it's a great harvest. It's like, wow, this is a blessing. You have all this wheat and all this corn, but if it's just you, who's gonna bring all that in here? Who's gonna work all of that? So if it's just you, or if it's just you and two others, who's gonna bring in that harvest? He's like, man, it's a great blessing out there. There's a lot to be brought in.
Yeah.
But who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
So he said, pray then, he said, pray then that the master of the harvest, because it's Yah's harvest, Yah's the one that's drawing and speaking to all the people, he's waking them up and bringing them in. Pray that the master of the harvest will send out workers to the harvest.
Yeah.
Send out people who are able to work the harvest, to bring the harvest in. Because the harvest is out there, but it's not no good to eat if it's just out there.
Yeah, that's right.
It has to be brought in. You got to get it and bring it in. So he needs people to work to be able to bring in that harvest. So the fruit that he's looking for, so first he's looking for fruit from us, from our lives, but the fruit that we bring in from ourselves is for the harvest. The fruit that he's looking for, all the fruit of the Spirit, it's not just for us to sit and eat the fruit. Oh, I just got some joy, I just got some peace and some patience, and I just got all these things. The fruit is for us to have the capacity to go out and work the harvest, bring the harvest in. So he's looking for fruit in us, and as he sees that fruit in us, he's like, yeah, you got the ruach, it's flowing in you, you got the power, the fruit is coming forth. Now take that, go be workers, and bring in the harvest. Bring in the harvest.
Amen.
I'm just about done. We're going to go to chapter 10. And having called his 12 taught ones near, he gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every disease and every bodily weakness. This is before the Ruach came. This is before the Ruach came to empower them to be witnesses. He said, I give you authority over unclean spirits to cast them out, to heal every disease and every bodily weakness. So he already given them this authority. And these are the names of the 12 emissaries. Shimon was called Kepha, Andrew his brother, Yaakov the son of Zebedee, Johanna his brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew the tax collector, Yaakov the son of Alphi, Levi, whose last name was Tadai, Shimon the Canaanite, and Yehuda from Kerah, who did also deliver him. So even Judas. He gave this to all of them. These are the same names that we call that were in the upper room, that received the power and the ruach to go and be witnesses. So he had already walked with them and equipped them, and then he empowered them even more. Yahushua sent these 12 out, having commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the nations, and do not enter a city of Shemaron, the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as you go, proclaim, saying, the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. You have received without paying, give without being paid. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts, or a bag for the journey, or 2 undergarments, or sandals, or staffs for the worker is worthy of his food. And into whatever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy in it, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter into a house, greet it. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever does not receive you nor hear your words, when you leave that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly I say to you, it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. So he's giving this instruction to his people that he's sending out to do this work. But beware of men, for they shall deliver you up to Sanhedrins and flog you in their congregations. going to face some opposition. You're going to be put out some places. You're going to face some things. And you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, as a witness to them and to the nations. But when they deliver you up, do not worry. So you're going to be put before these people to be witnesses, but you're going to be not received. You're going to be delivered up for being a witness. When they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you shall speak. For it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking in you. So he's saying the Spirit is going to speak and give you the words to say when you get there. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and the father his child. And children shall rise up against parents, and shall put them to death. And you shall be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. He who shall endure to the end shall be saved. And when they persecute you in the city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you shall by no means have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Adam comes. A taught one is not above his master, nor a servant above his a taught one is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the taught one to become like his teacher, and a servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, whatever is hidden shall be made known. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light. What you hear in the ear, proclaim on the housetops. And do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both being and body in Gehenna. Remember, this is Yahushua's pep talk to his disciples before he sends them out. He's giving them instructions of what they're going to encounter and how they're going to handle it. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground without your Father? And even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear. You are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone therefore who shall confess me before men, him I shall also confess before my Father who is in the heavens. But whoever shall deny me before men, him I shall also deny before my Father who is in the heavens. Whoever shall deny me before men, in word or in action. Sometimes we deny him in word, but sometimes we deny him in our actions. We change up. We switch things up when we get before men. We don't hold true and hold fast to our convictions and to our witness because we're in front of man now. He says, whoever denies me before men, I shall deny him before my Father who is in heaven. Whoever confesses me before men, whoever is a witness of me before men, him also I will confess before my Father who is in the heavens. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to bring division. A man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are those of his own household. Because of this word, because of this truth, because of being a witness, it's going to bring division. It's going to bring division. He says, I come to bring a sword because I bring the word, and the word divides. It divides inside of you, it divides people, it divides. It's always a dividing line. So he didn't come to bring peace. He didn't tell us to be peacekeepers, those who just keep the peace. Peacemakers have to bring a sword until there's peace made in the atmosphere, until peace is made inside. So you have to make peace, not just keep peace. Keep peace keeps deception. It keeps all kinds of things under the radar. Keeps all kinds of things subdued. He said, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword so that there can be true peace. So you can find true peace because there's nothing in those dark places. There's nothing underneath the surface. So there's a sword that's going to come, which is his word, is going to come and make peace. He said, blessed is the peacemaker. Said, he who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take up his stake and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life shall lose it. And he that has lost his life for my sake shall find it. He who receives you receives me. And he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he who receives a righteous one in the name of a righteous one shall receive a righteous one's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a taught one, truly I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward. So he gave them this instruction. He goes on. So he goes on to teach them. So he's walking with them, and he's teaching them, and he's showing them what's necessary, what they're going to encounter, and equipping them to be able to go and walk. And they carried this out. You read this in the rest of the gospel. They carried this out and saw some of this manifest. And then when he was taken from them, so they're being witnesses of what they experienced. They're the ones that can say, those 12 are the ones that can say, we walked with him closely, and we were witnesses of these things. We know him. We know what it is to walk with him and to experience these things, so we're witnesses of that. And then on top of that, he gave them the Ruach, the Spirit, to empower them as they go to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
In Matthew 28, he said, 28:18, he says, and Yahushua came up and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make taught ones of all the nations. This is after he resurrected and appeared to them. He said, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make taught ones of all the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the set apart Spirit, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always until the end of the age. So he's telling them now, go and make taught ones. Go teach the way that you walk with me and I taught you, then you go and walk with somebody and teach them. The way that I teach them to obey the commands that I've given, teach them to obey that and walk with it the way that I walk with you. And teach them to guard what I commanded you. And see, I'm with you always to the end of the age. How is he with us? He's with us through the Ruach. The Ruach is sent to be with us to the end of the age. So he's empowering us. He empowered us then. So as we coming on Shavuot, y'all, we talked about how y'all is expecting that harvest inside of us. He's expecting that continually, that fruit. He's looking for it. He's expecting it to come forth. But the goal of that is to continue to go for the harvest. He's looking to bring in his harvest. He's looking for the harvest. He's not just giving us the Ruach just for us to just enjoy the Ruach. We do. But the goal is for us to be able to cast the nets. His sheep need shepherds. His sheep need to experience the love. When 3,000 were added to their number, it's because they were walking in love. They were walking in the fruit of the Ruach. Put it right there. Thank you. Move out a little bit. Thank you. So they were looking for so they were filled with the Ruach, and the Ruach was giving them what they needed to be able to pull in the people. So when Yahushua gave us the Ruach, so he's expecting this harvest to come. He's expecting us to go out, cast our nets, feed the sheep, and do all these things so that we can, when he comes, it's ready. Because it has to be brought in. It has to be brought in, and then it has to be, you don't just eat something that's out in the field. You have to bring it in. You got to get the chaff off the wheat.
Yeah.
So just like he's doing it in us, he's doing it in the people. So we have to be a part of that process. So everybody get a puzzle piece. Everybody got a puzzle piece? We all come up to the front. Someone bring elders. Got elders. All right, so we're gonna put the puzzle together. Everybody piece up there?
upside down at the side. That's the top. They said that's the top. And this is the top. It's not in the pieces.
Let's put the borders on the outside. Look like they might though.
That don't go in there because there's no words. Don't move when she's got putting things where she wants them. See what her family doing when she was doing it, and stop fooling with it.
It looks like the pieces, they're not gonna, that's not gonna fit. Just put them where they look like they may fit. So, this one, it looks like, put the pieces that don't fit, is where in the area they might fit. This is the end piece. This is the end piece. This is the end piece. So, this piece is missing. So what do you think it, what do you think it, this picture is, is so funny? No, it's an animal, you can't quite see it. Some pieces connect together, it starts to make part of the picture, and then it's some disconnected pieces over here. So this is what we look like. If we don't cast the net. We got some of the, each one of us is one of those pieces that are there. But there's pieces that are missing. We don't have all the pieces. We can see part of the vision, part of the picture, part of what's here. You can see it looks like an animal. It might be a cat. It's a cat. It's a cat. You know, but but we can't, so we can kind of see it, you can kind of make it out, but it ain't all connected. All the pieces ain't there. We need some more. So a couple pieces that's connected, we got that clear. This is coming together over here, but this piece is missing. And that's how we look as a body. This piece is missing. So we gotta go get the other pieces to make this start coming together more.
Yeah.
So then it becomes clear of what it is. Because we all just have a part. All we have is a part.
Yeah.
Some of our parts may be connected together. We're like, all right, bam, we got this. You know, a couple of parts. But then in some parts it's like, well, who connected to me? I'm just out here. By myself feeling like, wow. You know, but then we got a click going on there. We got a whole, this little, they get it over there, you know. There might be a whole praise team or something. You know, but this person here, they're by themselves. So this is how we look as a body. And we're trying to make out, what is y'all trying to show us? What does it look like? What are we supposed to look like?
Right.
But we're only so as us as a collective body, this piece is missing from us.
Yeah.
That we're never going to see the full vision if we don't go cast and nest and collect the pieces. So they will come back together. So we get another piece in up. Now this is starting to make sense. If you start to put it together, it's like, okay, now starting to look right. There still will be some pieces missing, you know. So even if we put this whole thing together, we are only one part
Of another piece.
So that's why Yah is an ocean. He's that ocean. Part of what is an ocean is always more going on. So we have to get into the current and the wave of the overall ocean. Even if we put the whole hand, even if we are a whole hand, we're just one part of the body. We gotta know what's the forearm doing, what's the elbow doing. So that's that vast body of water that's constantly flowing in and out. So we have to know that we're one body connected to a bigger body, you know, and knowing and not being a stagnant water that's closed in, but knowing, sending out to that and then bringing in from that. And then as a body, well, who else is y'all called here? We have to go collect the pieces. You know what I'm saying? So we get the rest of the pieces, you know, it starts to look like it makes sense. You get some more, and then it's like, oh, you're the one with the, that's what the words go to.
Uh-huh. Wow. Most definitely upon you, Dad. It's a fat boy. This is what's better. He's all over this one.
Even when they all together, it comes together slowly. Even with all the pieces, but you still got to figure out where you fit. And that's true. That's true.
It's part of the notes. It's the notes piece. There's another eye right there. That right there. Good. Yeah, that's it.
We got him upside down.
And the notes.
Upside down.
That is his dear.
And I have a piece of the notes. Easier.
And once you put it together,
And when you have teamwork too, and it's kind of, people working together.
But it took everybody working together. Some people saw some parts, some people didn't see the other parts, you know, different people who was able to fit different parts of it together. But, that's how we work together. That's how we work together. So like, for the work that God's doing, it takes everybody to play a part. And it takes working together to play a part. And it takes the pieces being able to put into place. Sometimes things don't come together because the pieces aren't there. And y'all, but the pieces are somewhere. You know, and it takes being able to pull that in. So y'all's trying to So y'all's trying to put together a masterpiece.
Yeah.
He's arranging the things and it comes together slow sometimes, but that's what he's trying to do. But we gotta have the pieces.
Yep.
We gotta have it all, cause all the pieces matter. Everybody's piece, everybody's cat that we had matter. It was a cat. Amen. So be encouraged. that your piece is important. You play a part. Here, and everywhere that we go, we're that piece. Wherever we are, we're that piece. Wherever that lost piece is, it's somewhere, but it's a piece of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It needs to be found. You know what I mean? So like, there's pieces that are waiting to be found. You know, and we, they're looking to find where they belong, and we're looking for what we're missing. You know, and that's for us. Like I said, as a body here, and as part of the body at large. You know, God's always looking for the piece that's lost, so that you can figure out the place to put it in. So be encouraged that your part is important. Who you are and what He's put in you is important. What He's doing and developing in you and taking you through is important. It matters, and it plays a part of that piece. Each one of those pieces, it may just look like some bark or some fur, but that bark or that fur is something that y'all had to develop and work and do something in to be able to fit just right in the place where y'all wants it to be. So whatever He's doing in you, He has somebody that's going to fit right to you. He has somebody who wants you to fit right to be able to complete the vision, complete the picture.
Amen.
So what He's doing in you is intentional. What He's doing with you is intentional. When He places you is intentional. What He's doing is intentional. So we have to remember that there's a harvest. There's a harvest. Sometimes we get closed into ourselves and we get to our own lives and stuff, and the words and cares of this world choke out
Yeah.
the seed. We begin to choke it out. But y'all, it's like He's looking for a harvest. So we have to continue to allow the fruit to come forth as the Ruach gives us power and strength to do, so that the harvest can come through. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Beautiful. Wow. No, when I see that picture, now I was sitting there, the scripture came to me. It's like, as that was not our purpose. Remember how the scripture says how Yahushua, he left those and he went 99 and he went towards that one that was out. That's casting that net so that the picture can be complete. You know? So that there's a memory in your head, okay, there's another piece missing. But it's up to us to cast that net out to make sure